Batangas, Iloilo City, Bacolod, Tacloban, and Iligan City. Lanao del Sur will also be shifted to GCQ status from its current MECQ classification. In a recorded public address that aired this morning, the chief executive said these classifications may still be appealed by the LGUs until tomorrow. Quarantine classifications for the rest of the country are expected to be announced later today. In that same speech, President Duterte reiterated his quest to rid the government of corruption, specifically in the public works sector. That's why he's planning to suspend several officials that are linked to illegal activities. To give us more details on this, Maricel Halili joins us live from Mandaluyong. Good morning, Mase. Did the President say specifically which officials would get suspended?
Hi, good morning, Charles. The President, in his recorded particular government officials will be suspended, but suspension among those who suspected corrupt officials is expected to happen in the next few days. What the President mentioned is the memorandum he released recently. It is addressed to Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara. He ordered Secretary Guevara to create panels, as many as he wants to create, to investigate not just PhilHealth, but the entire government to ensure that the problem on corruption will.
Yes, the President did mention that he will do a government-wide quest to rid it of corruption, but then he also said that he will also focus on corruption allegations in the DPWH. What does this mean for Secretary Mark Villar?
Well, as usual, like what he mentioned before, the President reiterated that Secretary Mark Villar still enjoys the trust and confidence of the President. So the President ensures that he doesn't have any doubt with the capability of Secretary Villar, considering his accomplishments in the department. But he also did not deny that it seems that corruption in DPWH in implementing projects in DPWH.
Right, Mase, the President had a warning for certain officials who were planning to resign to get rid of their alleged corruption allegations. What was his message for these officials?
Actually, Charles, his basis for saying this is what happened in PhilHealth. Because if you recall, some of the officials who are involved in corruption in the state insurer resigned from their post. But the President mentioned that this does not mean that they are already excused from facing criminal charges and administrative charges. So the President warned other government officials who might be involved in anomalies in the government that resigning is not a means to escape from criminal and administrative liability, because the court can still summon them and make them answer to their anomalies, to the anomalies that they are involved.
Right, Mase, the President also said that he will not tear down PhilHealth completely because it's hard to put something new in its place. But then he also said that it might be also impossible to completely eradicate corruption in the government. He also said something about the quest for an honest man, right? What did he have to say about this?
Yes, you're right, Charles. President Duterte mentioned that it will be difficult to eradicate totally the corruption before the end of his term, but he will focus the last 2 years of his term in fighting against corruption. He mentioned that he's not totally an inutile government official in fighting the corruption. That's why he formed this task force to run after those government officials who are involved in such anomalies.
Right, on now to some of the other things that Duterte mentioned. He said that he would fast-track the creation of an OFW and Maritime Seafarers Department. Could you tell us more about this?
Yes, if you recall, Charles, the creation of the Department of OFW was already mentioned several times by the President. He even mentioned about this in one of his State of the Nation address. Unfortunately, this bill has not yet passed in the Senate. But aside from the Department of OFW, the President also mentioned the significance of creating a department which will focus on maritime and seafarers. He said that the significance of this move is to ensure the protection among the seafarers, especially that our country, the Philippines, is following several or various different international laws. And it is not easy to implement such policy and to ensure the protection of the seafarers at the same time. So to be able to focus on their protection and their security, the government has to create a department for maritime and seafarers.
All right, talking about protection and security of everybody, let's talk about vaccines for a bit. The President did say that he prefers government-to-government transactions in the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines. Why is this?
Yes, you're right, Charles. President Duterte earlier mentioned that as much as possible, he wants a government-to-government transaction. He even directed Finance Secretary Sani Dominguez to make sure and study the possibility of government-to-government transaction. He said that he doesn't want to have a transaction with the private sectors because it's very difficult to negotiate with them. Once that these private companies backed out, the president said, how can you run after them? It's difficult. So to avoid any anomalies, corruption, it will be better if it will be a government-to-government transaction. Since the government has already allotted funds to buy vaccine against COVID-19, he said that it will be better if it's a government-to-government transaction.
All right, Masay, you mentioned allotting funds. The President did say na ang pinakaayaw niya sa lahat would be the delays in the distribution of cash assistance. So how exactly does he plan to speed up this process?
The President did order the local government units to avoid asking their staff for proposals and distributing the assistance to their constituents. And so it will be better if they will just act first. Kumbaga, action first before theory.
All right, that's well noted. Thank you for that. That was Maricel Halili reporting live from Mandaluyong. We'll be back with more stories after a quick break. Keep it here on One News.
Oath of office.
You're still watching One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Typhoon Quinta, havoc in parts of southern Luzon less than a week since it entered the Philippine area of responsibility. Quinta caused the death of 5 persons. Among them are 2 residents from Negros Oriental who drowned in floodwater, and another man from Cagayan who died in a raging flood after attempting to save his kalabaw. 2 women also died after being hit by trees in Quezon and Laguna. That's on top of the 19 missing people reported since this morning, including 12 fishermen from Catanduanes. The NDRRMC also reported that over 900,000 people have been affected by Quinta, with the most from Region 5. More than 77,000 of those affected are currently staying in temporary shelters. While Quinta has left the landmass of Luzon, the entire province of Albay and Sorsogon have opted to suspend all classes today. Only the Kalayaan Islands remain under Tropical Cyclone Wind Signal number 1. However, Pag-asa still issued a heavy rainfall advisory for parts of Palawan and Occidental Mindoro. As of 4 a.m. today, Typhoon Quinta was last spotted over 600 kilometers west of Calapan City in Oriental Mindoro. It is still expected to exit the PAR today. Meanwhile, Pag-asa warns that the low-pressure area outside the PAR, off the coast of eastern Mindanao, is forecast to enter the country within the next 48 hours. With thousands of people displaced from their homes due to Typhoon Quinta, Malacanang is reminding LGUs to ensure that evacuation centers are compliant with minimum health standards. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says all evacuees should wear face masks, and those presenting symptoms should be isolated. Meanwhile, the health department has called on the LGUs to do symptoms screening at evacuation centers. Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere says it is not possible to do COVID-19 testing among all evacuees, so they should just be screened for symptoms. NTF-ELCAC spokesperson Antonio Parlade Jr. reveals they are now consolidating evidence establishing ties between members of the Makabayan bloc and the Communist Party of the Philippines. Speaking to One News's The Chiefs, Parlade insisted that he is not red-tagging activists. Instead, he claimed that their group wants to isolate the so-called underground members of the CPP-NPA that are among the ranks of the Makabayan bloc party list, such as Gabriela. Citing testimonials from supposed former rebels, Parlade also said that some communists have infiltrated progressive media organizations like the National Union of Journalists of the Philippines and the College Editors Guild of the Philippines.
We'd like to educate our people that there's this duplicity of these organizations. Sa front, yan ang advocacy nila, maganda. But, ang pinaka-objective dito really is to pursue their national democratic revolution, this armed revolution. So yun lang ang gusto naming i-emphasize that yes, they are legal organizations, but we should be very, very careful kasi dadalhin tayo dito sa armadong pakikibaka na ito, and all of these organizations are consistent with that.
In response, Gabriela Women's Party founding member Emmy De Jesus says people should focus on the party's track record in championing women's rights in Congress. Although De Jesus assured the public that Gabriela and the rest of the Makabayan bloc are ready should the Anti-Terror Council tag them as terrorists.
We will engage. Kaya lang dahil nga militarista sila, alam mo naman yung paggamit nila sa kapulisan. Ang PNP ngayon, iba na orientation eh. Yung ginagawa nila, yung mga red bait, hindi lang red baiting pala, yung ano yun, nagpa-plant ng mga baril, ng ebidensya, pumapatay. Nakakakilabot, we are in a situation na talagang ang panakot nila ay sila yung violent eh. Yung engagement naman namin dyan, ready for all the consequences, sabi ko nga may legal battle, how can we possibly how can we possibly engage? At palagay ko naman marami tayong mga lawyers na pwede ring tumulong sa Makabayan. Nasasabihin na naman nila mga aktivista ay mga komunista pagka tumulong ng mga lawyers.
For more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. And you can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com. And stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. We are One News.